Hello, everybody. Here's wishing you a very happy new year and a very happy 2026. So this year, I'm starting to. I have a goal, which is to showcase more of the experiments and the work that I'm working on when it comes to AI marketing. I would like to see where it leads us, but I think it's important to get started. So you should see more of me. I hope that I can continue this at a regular basis, because that's my goal for this year. And let's talk about the Generation 1 on-brand content system that we are going to run through today. So as you can see, I've already preloaded my file. This is basically a content generation system that follows brand uh, instructions. And in this particular case, the system I have already incorporated my own brand related information, which is based on Hendry.ai. It should follow the design system that I gave it. It should follow the voice tonality that I've given it. It should follow the ICPs that I've given it, which is my target audience, obviously, hopefully you. I think so. And then they should also have rules such as following the AI search optimizational needs of today. And then there are also templates that I've given it that it can choose from. So the idea I have behind is that in general, many companies or many brands have their own type of templates, right? So you have these best practices templates, and you also have how you lay out these templates for success stories or case studies, or how you write a white paper, or how you do a blog post, how you do a listicle, how to article, and stuff like that. So I've incorporated some baseline templates specifically for my brand, but it can also be done for your brand. And then the agent should follow the whatever that's within the system itself. Shouldn't run away too far, which is why before I work on generation 2, which I will start very soon, I'm creating this video to close up on generation 1 and also showing you an example of what it can do in this video. So let's get started, right? So as you can see, I'm using Claude. Claude is great for coding, and it's pretty good at following instructions. I do not want to. Every LLMs have their own strengths. In this particular use case, I apply Claude to it. The system can be agnostic, so it doesn't just apply to Claude. It can apply to GPT. We have to modify a little bit of things, as well as Gemini. And I think in general it is programmed or made to be LLM agnostic. More critically, the focus is on brand content that can be producing consistent on brand content using the power of AI. So in this particular case, let's get started. Let's ask the agent to extract zip file, and there are workflows within the file itself, and apply the workflow to create. I want to create a listicle about everyone's favorite topic at this time of the year, which is the AI marketing predictions, or any marketing related predictions for 2026. So what should happen is that I call now the LLM the agent, but the LLM itself, in this case Claude, should start opening up the archive, and within there will be system folders, and there will be different things, and you should start with the readme folder, where you will instruct it to do what it should do in terms of the steps and the workflow within. Fundamentally, it should understand that, firstly, based on the topic itself, it has to find the listicle template that has already been fed into the folder system. It should understand that it needs to read the design and the voice and then apply the ICPs that I've given it for my audience. It will actually select by itself which ICP is most relevant for the topic itself. And then towards the end of the workflow, they should be looking at the AI optimizational application within the HTML file itself that it should generate. So I've purposely asked it to produce a HTML file at the end of the workflow, which I can then visually preview how it looks like. And then you can just copy it and paste it to whichever CMS that you use, be it WordPress, HubSpot, or a headless CMS. So let's see what it does. Now it says that it has loaded the references for the list post, right? So yeah, he has loaded all the required files, and he loaded the golden references, which is like the must-haves for the list post. That is the template that it should apply to this type of post. And then once it's loaded already, it will check, and then it start doing its research, right? To generate the content around this rules that he has been given. So as you can see here, it has targeted strategic Sarah, which is the ICP that has been given, which holds a VP marketing role. Use the brand voice, follow the CSS that is required, which is basically the design elements. And now it is, as you can see on my screen, writing the HTML file itself. When it has completed its creation, we should see a visual representation of the HTML file itself popping up, so that we can have a look of whether it did apply the design of my website, which is Hendry.ai, and I will see if it applied the tonality and the rules that I've given it, and then you can copy. One of the things you can also influence is the do's and don'ts, right? So for example, there are words that you don't want to use, and everybody's favorite thing or very easy attack on LLM systems is the EM dashes, but actually it's quite an easy fix to ask the agent not to use EM dashes in the generated output. You can actually define that within your workflow. And one of the things some of you may have noticed is that I did not use a Nate or a Make or a Zapier workflow, because I wanted a system that it is compact. I always believe that I do actually like Nate or Make or Zapier, and I think they are great tools. But within the workflow itself, you would need to have access to other tools, right? Which means most people forget that in order to do XYZ, you need to have paying subscription to XYZ, and then Nate and Make or Zapier are basically orchestrators that can help you connect systems to produce generated result. And in this particular case, because it is the content generation, I think, and I was trying to build a self-contained workflow that we can just easily plug into any LLM, and then it should generate the content that is on brand and on point. So before it generates the visual view, you can see that the agent has run through a pre-flight lint, which is basically checks that I've forced it to look at before it outputs the HTML. You can set these rules. We can do many different things, but these are my own generation 1 rules. And it also lists down the sources that has been used. You can further define that, and it checks for compliance, right? That I've also asked it to do. So as you can see, it has now generated the visual preview of the HTML. Looks decent to start with, right? So if anyone visits Hendry.ai, you would see already immediately the design and the look of it is pretty aligned, right? So as you can, if I scroll down, you would see, okay, I'm still working on the image side of things. I left it the last, but it's definitely fixable. But in general, does it follow the listicle format template that I gave it? Yes, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does it have my tonality without EM dashes? I'm pretty sure there isn't any. Does it use AI search optimization rules like table of content? You can see it's integrated here already. And then, of course, things like FAQ at the end, also for AI search optimization. And of course, very quickly also, when was this created? If you look at the HTML code itself, you would see that the LLM, in this case Claude, has followed the instructions where it inserted the schema based on the AI search optimization into the HTML itself. So when you do copy this and paste it into your CMS system, it should be immediately, not immediately, but it should have a chance of being picked up by LLM search. So that's it for this particular type of post. Let's wait for it to load a little bit. And then we can start looking and testing out another kind of post, and you can see for yourself whether it still stays on brand as what I've designed it to do. Gonna shift myself away. Maybe I should even close this up. Let's close this up, make it clean. All right, so now I'm going to ask the system. They already have preloaded my workflow. I'm going to ask it now to write a how-to, right? So applying the same workflow. Let's just do it. Let's create a how to create an article about how to create AI agents. Yeah, so now we are testing a different template within the system itself. I'm seeing if it picks up the how-to framework. Straight away, you see it picks up the how-to template from the files, right? So it is smart enough to know for which topic you request it to write for what type of templates that it will apply itself to. So once again, you see the agent load up the inputs that are required, the instructions, the formats, which is the how-to post, the golden reference, the voice rules, the design, the ICP context, and then it starts to do its research. And now it starts to write the article. So of course, the test and the fun part now is to see if this second post also has the same design branded elements that you saw earlier on in the very first listicle that was created by the agent. Let's wait. So what it's doing now is, once again, it runs a pre-flag lint. It checks if it has followed the instructions and the important information that he needs to follow. For example, as you can see here, one of the things I ask you to do is no EM dash. I've mentioned already. No banned words. So it sounds a little bit more like you have to define this yourself. And then once the checks pass, it should present the final file. In this case, we are waiting because Claude is compacting the conversation. In fact, I think it's a good point to talk about it, because if you use LLMs quite often, you there are inconsistencies, and this is quite a common issue that most people bring up. Like, it doesn't replicate, right? So for example, in this particular case, if Claude didn't compact, right, and then you try to recreate based on just standard prompting or prompt engineering on a new chat, there's a very good chance that it doesn't generate the HTML content that has your brand identity embedded. So that's also why I wanted to build a self-contained system, so that wherever you upload it to, it will still retain your important brand elements that you have defined. So as we can see here, this is a how-to post that is just created, and you would see immediately that it has applied the design system of Hendry.ai. It has followed also the template of a how to post that I've given it. So it's based on steps instead of like a list of to-dos with no hierarchy to the importance of things. So in this case, you can see step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, final thoughts, and then FAQ. So there is a structure to this. The visuals generated has also followed the design system that I've given it. And then if we look at the HTML itself, you would see the AI SEO application, the schemas being applied to the HTML itself at the top, as you can see here, which is great because then once again we can copy and paste this into our CMS, and then it should render well as should be able to be picked up by LLM search engines like GPT or like Gemini, as you know. So good, clear. Now for those who don't understand CMS, I'm sure most of you do. Content management system, CMS, WordPress, HubSpot, Marketo, Joomla, Drupal, or I think Adobe also have the system. So, and your web flows of nowadays people use that, or your Framer and all these tools that basically host your content. So good. So let's now try another example and the last example before we close this session, because I will then start working on generation 2. But before that, let's now create a comparison post, right? Also another popular post type, which is like this versus that. Is my product better than this product, or why this product is not better than the other? So let's apply the same workflow and create a comparison post between okay, let's do Nate versus Meg versus that here. So I'm expecting it to now be smart enough to pick up the comparison template that is also in the file directory. There it goes. It checks. And if you notice, and we will jump into it a little bit more, as you saw that in the listicle post, you had a certain structure. I hope you noticed it. And then, of course, in the how-to had a certain structure. And what we should see now is another structure that is more tailored for comparison type of posts. Now it's doing research. It has gathered what it needs to gather. So once again, it does the validation check, the pre-flight lint, make sure that it passes the rules that has been given. And once the check's passed, it will push the output for your review. Great. So as we can see here, they did apply once again even the fonts, design system in general, the colors, the fonts, and the voice shouldn't have any EM dashes. It looks consistent still. And then it has a different structure, right? A different template format or structure for this type of post, which is a comparison post, as compared to a listicle or a how-to. It has a side-by-side feature comparison. It gives you a grade system within. It describes the key differences, the ease of use, the integrations, and all the important elements within a comparison post between the three products that I've chosen in this particular topic. Right, so it has applied the comparison format. Now, the FAQ is important, is still there. And if we look at the HTML itself, we should once again see that it has also applied the schemas that are needed in order to be picked up by search engines. And this has been applied which allows us to then now, if you're happy with it, copy and paste your CMS system, and then basically run with it. So that's it for the demo for generation 1, and I've decided to call this a stop point because I would like to have more robust guardrails and to force it to be even more consistent. I've already spotted some inconsistencies, but these are really minor, and I would like to build a new gen where in general it has more production grade, and of course I want to apply new techniques within itself. So what I wanted set out to do with generation 1 is to have a generator that is on brand, and I think you have seen it yourself that it is definitely possible. Secondly, I didn't want to use a workflow tool such as Neat, because I think that some things like this can be self-contained, and it's also LLM platform agnostic. So, and it's of course, as you can see, it's much cheaper, right? Because I only pay for one subscription to Cloud, and I can generate the post that is on point, right? Versus plugging into 3 different tools, for example. And of course, lastly, also the ease of use. I wanted it to be easily plug and play. So these are kind of like the baselines. I'm also working, and of course, this can be easily translated into other brands. So I will have another video to show you how it can be just easily applying another brand layer around it. So, and to build an article that looks like another brand. This will be a separate video, and generation 2 will be shared when it is completed. Of course, this is just one particular use case for AI marketing is content generation. I know it doesn't sound very sexy because there are tons of tools out there, but one thing that everybody must remember is that for most of your workflows, or most of your marketing activities, even if it looks very sexy, like I see a lot of like lead gen, AI, SDRs, whatever, your fundamentals remain that you need to craft content, right? So if you can have a good baseline in terms of content generation for multiple type of contents, including emails and stuff, and you have a good baseline, then scaling it up when you apply the other type of marketing roles or functions like demand gen and all this stuff, you have more confidence that your content that they use for the activities will be quite robust. So that's it for me for today, and I hope to share with you more about some experiments, and I hope they have a great 2026 ahead, and I'm sure we will see each other very soon. Thank you very much. It's Hendry, and if you need anything, just write to me. I'm actually available this year. I'm looking for opportunities, so if there are any opportunities, I'm happy to hear them and happy to work with you. To speak to you soon. Bye bye.